Hi. Today we're going to talk about building relationships between instructors and adult learners and why it's important. Because you might think, an adult learner, they're going to want to do their work and go home. They have lives to get to. But no, we as educators should be working towards building relationships with them. And I'm going to tell you why and how to do that. The main reason why is because building a relationship with an adult student builds trust. When there's trust between a student and an educator, then the student is more likely to do well in the class and more likely to participate. So you might be asking yourself, okay, I understand why it's important, but how am I going to do it? I'm going to show you the best practices to build those relationships. One of the best practices for building a relationship with your students is to get to know your students. And you do that by asking them questions. Get to know them. What do they like? What do they do on their free time? Where they come from? Their family? Get to know them. That's the most basic way that you're going to get to know your student and understand them better to build a relationship that creates trust. The second thing is going to be beware of your personal biases. As an educator, you are going to have many different types of people that are in your classroom, and they're going to come from all different backgrounds and all different walks of life. As humans, we all have biases. It is best to keep our own biases at bay so that it doesn't interfere with our interactions with the students. Be mindful of those biases, set them aside so that you could be the best educator that you can. As an educator, you also want to be mindful of what you teach. Try and incorporate your students' cultures into your lessons. Make sure that you are respecting your students and make sure that your coursework that you are providing is meaningful for them. Because when the coursework is meaningful for them, not only are they learning, but they can make connections within their own lives, and then you have a well-rounded lesson, well-rounded student when you can connect both lives together. That is super important as an educator, to be mindful of what we're teaching to these students so that they can go out into the world and be successful as well and be proud of their culture. Also, be respectful of their culture. You're going to have many different students from many different cultures, and you're going to have many different diversities. It's very important to be respectful of each and every student, each and every culture, each and every diversity. You want to be respectful of everyone. Another way to build a relationship with your students is to learn their needs. And a way you do that is ask them questions. Get to know them. What's going on in their life? What do they do when they're not at school or not inside the classroom? Get to know them. Also, if it's relevant to what you're discussing, to the topic at hand, share some personal experience or, connect with them on some way. Really get to know them, and you can help them out that way. So, what do you do when you have a student who shares a different viewpoint? That's easy. Listen to them with intent and respect. It's healthy to have discussions in the classroom. Not everybody is going to agree on everything, and people's backgrounds can have them form their own opinions. It is fantastic to have a civil and healthy debate within the classroom. You, as the educator, just need to make sure that you are being respectful of their input and make sure that everybody else is respectful of everybody's input. We don't want anyone to use any crude or rude or derogatory languages, calling names, or just being outright disrespectful to anybody, as long as you create a safe environment to where people can share their opinions without being judged. That is a great way to get to know your students and build relationships, by having those conversations. Those types of conversations are going to happen in everyday life. It's fantastic to practice that in the classroom. And lastly, we're going to discuss how to apply the Christian worldview to our classrooms. Matthew 22:39, love your neighbor as yourself. That is one of the two greatest commandments that God has provided us. Love your neighbor as yourself. Basically, that just means show love and kindness to everyone you meet, just as you would yourself. As long as you're being kind to your students, showing love to your students, not being bitter or mean or rude, or criticizing them or making fun of them for their different beliefs, you're showing them the Christian worldview, the Christian way. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you learned a little bit more about how to create relationships with your adult learners.